Are they cats that like prescribe you medicine? What happens?
I'm afraid you have a serious case of meow.
Welcome to another episode of Let's Rewatch, the show where we watch movies we loved in our youth and see if they're actually still any good. I'm Nick.
I'm Bret.
I'm Sam.
And
I'm Bret as well.
And that's Bret as well.
And I'm stepping on people's lines.
Yeah, we're doubling down on Bret's today. So our guest today is Bret Scanlon. Welcome, Bret.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Bret 2, double Bret. Bret sequel.
Double Bret. I don't know.
It's like Ed, and Eddie. He's double T.
Yeah.
Oh.
We'll call you Big Bret.
Wait, which one's
Yeah, which
Big
one
Bret?
of us?
Hey, you guys know who's who.
That'll clear things up.
I don't like where this is going.
We're the
You can,
Brets.
you can address every question to Bret's, and one of us will
start
answer.
a band.
Like the Bobs.
You play an instrument, Bretita?
Guitar a little bit.
Okay.
Oh, look at that.
We're basically there.
All right, so this whole ridiculousness is for a pretty ridiculous movie. This time we're going to be watching Monkeybone from 2001, which I think is good because two of us here on this call are stop motion animators. Or OG Bret,
People.
have you done stop motion animation too?
He's done directing.
Yeah, I've been involved. I'll do a lot of the post stuff, but I've never actually animated it myself.
And of course, Sam has done some stop motion animation work and producing for stop motion animation.
Yep.
And our new friend Bret Scanlon is a stop motion animator as well. And so we decided on a stop motion animation theme this time around.
Well said.
Yeah. you all know this, but I'm introducing this to our audience. Now, new Bret, you've done some work in stop motion animation. We've seen some of your work in Kubo and the Two Strings.
Yeah, I was processing 3D printed parts for that. So I had a hand in a lot of the faces that you see on the characters.
You mean you were punching maquettes?
Some of them, yeah. Actually, on my last day, I got one of the monkey faces because that was the worst one to process, and I dropped a bowling ball on it.
Oh, so you like rage disposed of maquettes at the end of the production.
You like Office Space, but on that monkey.
Yeah, it felt so good. We also had different Frankenstein monsters made of different puppet faces and parts on our desks.
So you were basically like working for the many-faced god.
Essentially,
Yeah.
You want to talk about what you're doing now?
Nowadays, I am currently at Stupid Buddy Studios doing set dressing on Robot Chicken.
That's so cool.
Excellent.
It has been
Wait,
great.
do you dress the little puppets? Like, you put them in little outfits? And
No.
The sets, I don't actually ever touch the puppets really, but I basically...
Oh, come on, be honest. You touch the puppets. We know you do when no one's looking.
Don't tell. No, basically I'll get like a shot or something to work on, put the set up, put all the props where they go, and get it all pretty looking for the puppets, for the animation and everything.
So it's like a modern day dollhouse. You're like,
Yeah,
Ooh,
pretty much.
yeah.
I never wanted to stop playing with action figures, so I went into stop motion.
oh, nice.
There was a time at Comic-Con, one of the off-site events, maybe 3-4 years ago. Stupid Buddy was there, and they had a scene that they'd set up. And I think maybe they were doing animation work there on site just as like a demonstration thing. Mm-hmm. And so I'm trying to paint a picture of what this looks like. It's like the size of 2 microwave ovens. It's just like a room about that size. I wish I could think of a better way to size that out. Am I thinking along the right things? You just basically construct a room in this box,
Yeah.
action figure scale.
Pretty much, yeah.
That sounds like a 2x4 set.
If you want to
Okay.
get technical.
Tell us about a 2x4 set.
It is 2 feet by 4 feet.
That's all I need.
I guess I could have done that. What's that in meters? Is that the standard sort of thing? I mean, we are going to watch a movie that is a mix of live action and stop motion, so I don't know how much of this translates to that.
Wow, how appropriate, because we just watched a movie that was a mix of animation and
that's
live
an
action.
interesting angle to talk about. And tangent after tangent after tangent here, and I want to reel back to the set design thing. But I do want to, because on my mind, I want to apologize that we did talk about a movie that combined animation with live action, and we not once mentioned Space Jam.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm surprised we didn't get shit on
I can't
on
believe
Twitter.
we didn't mention Space Jam.
Yeah.
Also, we should do Space Jam.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
What? You don't like Space Jam?
I've actually never seen Space Jam.
There's no way it's good.
Excuse me. Whoa. You have never seen Space Jam?
Never seen Space Jam.
I'm not surprised.
I want to talk about set dressing for stop motion animation.
All right.
And this, is that a standard set, or when you do a film, is it going to be a different setup? Are there larger sets?
Yeah, it really depends on the production. With like Robot Chicken, since it's such like short little sketches and kind of take place more like closed, like in rooms usually, or on an outside set, it'll be smaller, easier to move around. Back when I was at Leica, some of the sets there were pretty massive.
Yeah.
Pretty big, like, I don't know, 15 by 20 or so for some of them.
Wow.
And then there's the thing that played in the credits of Kubo. Was it am I remembering right, a giant skeleton monster?
I actually have that on my shirt right now. Yeah.
Whoa.
Nice.
Cool.
It was Guinness World Record for largest animatable puppet, I think.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it was a giant skeleton basically hooked up to computers and wires to be able to like move different parts and move where the head and everything goes.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's extremely unusual for stop motion animation, I would assume.
To have a puppet that big, that's mostly unheard of.
How are you handling, or are you going to handle the set on your personal project? Like, is that a huge ordeal, or?
Figuring that out.
2x4?
Oh, God, that's like, I can't remember the exact measurements, but I think it's like 10 by 20 or so.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
There's maybe
You're
18.
going the Leica route on that one.
Yeah, that one, basically, what my living situation has been in Portland, living in a house with roommates, and I kind of claimed a good chunk of the garage for studio space. I'm like, I got all this space. I'm going to make a big, massive set. And now I'm attempting to move down here. And it's like, I have a big, massive set. I got to figure out what to do with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with it. But, yeah, I'm sure my roommates will be happy to have a garage that they can use again.
Yeah, the garage you've vacated now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good luck finding that much space in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might be looking into renting just a place to live and then an extra garage somewhere that I can set up or something. We'll see. I'm weighing different options.
So this movie that we're going to watch is a bit unusual, and certainly we've seen a few movies that mix live action and stop motion. But usually what you see is a strictly stop motion animated movie. So I think this is a little bit unusual.
Or you see it more in the realm of VFX, where it's stop motion, but it's trying to be realistic.
Like RoboCop or the Harryhausen stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We saw it in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids with the ant.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that is more common than I was thinking then, because it is a technique for visual effects. Or I guess was. Like, do people even do that anymore?
Not very often.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of, and actually it just popped into my head, but I don't think it's stop motion at all, was Where the Wild Things Are. Because they did a lot of like weird comping in that with puppets and large suits, but also like comping in real stuff with it. But I'm not sure. That's the last one I can think of.
Yeah, I'm just popping to mind in Jurassic Park. Originally, they were going to do stop motion for the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And then they even had a couple tests for it, and then they decided to go CG with it.
Didn't they still capture like the motion from the puppets, and then they kind of translated that to the CG and made it even better?
I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
Yeah.
it does still surprise me how well the CG in that movie is aged compared to many others, even modern day some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a topic that comes up fairly often when we're judging.
Jurassic Park is like my favorite movie, so we talk about it a lot.
So, another thing that I think coincidentally we end up talking about is how much we kind of love Henry Selick.
Oh my God, so much. I do love him.
And so our director for this movie is Henry Selick.
Are you shitting me? I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? That's why I love this movie.
You're supposed to know these things.
I don't know these things.
Shame.
I'm proud. Damn it. I know nothing. It's fine.
So I think most people know Henry Selick from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Well, most people don't realize he's the actual director of that movie.
Right. There's so many people who just assume that Tim Burton was the director.
Mm-hmm.
But I think his most famous film was Nightmare Before Christmas.
Totally.
Though people tend to not even give him credit for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Coraline, James and the Giant Peach come right after that.
Yeah, he did Coraline. That's right.
Yeah. But I think I might even say my favorite Henry Selick is the whimsical visual effects he did for Life Aquatic.
Oh, that's right. That was him too.
Love those effects. That was so much fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, the fish.
I think OG Bret, you were talking a little bit about this recently. How it gives it more of a true feel, just leaning into the artificial and whimsy of it. It's not going to look real, so let's not make it look real. Let's make it look magical.
Yeah, you can swing and miss at realism, or you can really nail just a fantasy look.
Yeah.
Can I just go on a quick little tangent? I just happened to listen.
No tangents on this show.
I'm sorry. But I've been listening to the last podcast on the left. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's pretty great. Check it out. But they did a whole episode on L. Ron Hubbard, who created Scientology. And did you know that the Sea Org is because he took several Scientologists and they went out on a boat and they lived on a boat for 10 years. And the way they described it in the podcast, I was like, this kind of sounds like Life Aquatic.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty. Anyway,
Were they trying to make documentaries?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Were they trying to find aliens in the ocean?
Yes, probably. I don't know. That one. I don't really know that one.
Now you're just saying yes to anything that sounds ridiculous.
But if somebody did something wrong, they would throw them over the boat and then they would scoop them back out. But that was your punishment. It just sounds like something ridiculous that they do on Life Aquatic. You did something wrong. So every morning we gather everyone up and whoever did something wrong, they get thrown off the boat and then picked back up.
Make people walk the plank.
Yeah. It's like the whole interns don't get Glocks or whatever. It's just so ridiculous. Anyway, sorry.
So I'm the one who's literally never seen this movie.
Ooh.
And I'm sure people are going to come down on me about that.
I don't know if you're going to like it or not.
Yeah, Sam's new here.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't have a tremendous amount of insight into this, and I started looking at the actors in the movie.
It's got our boy Fraser.
It's a huge list of actors.
Yeah. Chris Kattan.
So we're coming back to Brendan Fraser. Go ahead, Ash.
Those are the only two I remember.
List the actors cold.
Fraser, Chris Kattan.
Okay. Don't look at my iPad.
Isn't Whoopi Goldberg in this too?
No.
Damn, I'm good.
Whoopi.
I don't remember any other ones.
There are two actors from Breaking Bad in this movie.
Really?
Yep.
Whoa. What's his face? Main dude?
No, Cranston is not in this. Do you want me to tell you, or do you
I
want
you to tell me.
it?
This is not
be
good podcasting.
The DEA uncle probably would be my guess. Or not uncle. No?
Aaron Paul?
Brother-in-law?
No, I think Aaron Paul is way too young.
Oh.
I think Aaron Paul pretty much started with Breaking Bad, as far as I know. That's where he really actually got known.
Gotcha.
So Bob Odenkirk is in this.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And Giancarlo Esposito is in this.
Oh.
Gus Fring.
Wow.
Yeah.
That dude's once you start realizing how much shit he's done, you realize he's in everything.
Yeah. He's done some stuff. Mm-hmm. And yeah, a huge list. John Turturro, Rose McGowan, Dave Foley, Megan Mullally.
Really? I'm so excited.
And I don't even know what's going on in this movie, whether some of these are voices.
There are probably a lot of voices.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of animated characters.
So from what little you know, do you have any guesses on how the movie's going to go or what direction it's going to go?
So I think it would be a good idea for me to get mine out of the way first.
Let's hear you. And then Sam.
Because I'm a little uncomfortable talking about it because I kind of don't want to watch this movie.
Oh.
I knew you wouldn't.
And I can't tell you exactly what it is, but it just never seemed... It seemed like Beetlejuice was good. Let's try and do that again for $57.
No.
It always looked kind of...
No. No.
Yeah.
That is not this movie, no.
Okay.
But I love that.
It was also a little bit of my mind was like, well, okay, let's do James and the Giant Peach, but instead of an adorable little child, let's put Encino Man in it. And that also doesn't excite me. Because it was at a time, like, let's face it, Brendan Fraser has been good. Brendan Fraser has been bad. And if this is a movie with Encino Man in it,
no.
Dancing with Stop Animation Monkeys.
No, this is Brendan Fraser Gold.
It's what?
It's Brendan Fraser Gold.
Okay. So, I'm very hopeful and willing to be proven wrong on that. I think I took a pretty hardline stance against things like The Substitute. But this is one that I'm not thrilled about, but I could have my mind changed. Because looking back, I love everything else that I've seen of Henry Selick. Mm-hmm. So...
I guess, actually, now that I think about it, I could see the Beetlejuice comparison, but I won't say anything else. I could understand why you thought that.
Monkeybone. So what about you, Sam? Do you even know it by reputation? Like what?
I mean,
I don't think this film had a good reputation. So.
No, I mean, I learned a little bit about its reputation today when I casually mentioned what movie we'd be doing for the podcast. It doesn't have a good rapport.
No. I think critically it didn't do well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anything about this movie other than the movie poster. So I have a feeling it's going to be kind of wacky like The Mask, but a little more drug trippy like Trainspotting, but not so serious.
God. Have you seen Trainspotting?
That sounds horrifying.
That is not... something you just throw out there.
I haven't seen Trainspotting either, so there's a little insight into what I think about Trainspotting.
Wow.
I think I don't know why I think it's going to be about drugs. I just do. No factual basis for that.
Because it's a Henry Selick film, and you have to imagine he's on so many drugs when he makes this shit.
Well, it is. I thought it's a movie about Brendan Fraser has a monkey on his back.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so it's a drug movie.
Wait, is that a drug euphemism?
It's a euphemism for addiction.
Oh.
There you go.
Well, welcome to culture.
Interesting. Excuse me, mister. I have never seen Space Jam. You have no right to judge me.
Oh, man, there are so many layers to that.
So you define culture as Space Jam.
Well, when you listen to so much Griffin McElroy,
thank you
can you
for
blame
proving
me?
my point.
Can
You've never pumped up the jam?
Wow.
Can we please watch that movie next now?
So, Beardy Bret, you seem to be the one most middle of the road
nickname every time.
I'm excited to see how many names you can come up with.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Was that my turn to talk about? Get the fuck out of here, podcast cat. So, okay. I don't think I'm going to like this movie, but oof. There's a few reasons why. And it's not to say that it's going to be a bad movie, but I'm pretty sure this is like the antithesis of my kind of comedy movie. I think there's a lot of like crazy slapstick stuff from or at least what I remember, like because I remember a few scenes, and there's a few like comedy gold moments, and then a whole bunch of like I was trying really hard for a laugh there, but that's also I have a very unique sense of humor, so I can't speak for everyone with that guess.
That was
a very non-committal
prediction there.
rating.
I think what I'm looking forward to most in this is Chris Kattan.
Yes. Chris Kattan pre-Mango.
I could care less about Brendan Fraser here.
Mango?
What?
Is this where you got the idea from Mango?
Maybe. I don't know.
But
He's just Chris Kattan.
I don't remember where he comes into this, but God, I hope it's like a lot of the movie with Chris Kattan, because I'm not like super stoked on Brendan Fraser screaming a lot, which I think happens.
Yeah, I guess there's a bit of that.
Wow, you guys aren't making me feel good about this.
But I want some of that.
Fine.
I want some of that Kattan. This was like prime Kattan.
Yeah. Did you know the reason why he fell off the face of the planet was because he got in like a serious accident?
Oh no way!
Yeah, he was like in an accident and it like affected him.
Like Tracy Morgan?
I think, yeah, it was something like that. I'm trying to remember. Internet, provide me with clear information.
All right, so as you were very excited about this.
I am. I don't care what you say. I love
rarely
Chris Kattan and Brendan Fraser. I'm very okay. So I honestly don't remember a lot about this movie, but I remember really liking it when it came out. I'm not saying it's amazing. I just remember.
I think you said it's amazing.
No, I didn't.
We're going to have to go back to the tape.
Shh.
And we're just
Get in
going
the
to
pack.
re-edit it. Cut
Get in
out
the
every
pack.
time I say not.
But I remember really liking it. I remember it being like still Brendan Fraser on his prime time. Like I remember lots of his good comedy moments, and then of course Chris Kattan just being wacky. And then I think the other reason why I really liked this movie is because it's kind of, I wouldn't necessarily call it like dark comedy, but it has like a little bit of an edge of dark comedy, you know, like sort of like Beetlejuice, I guess. It has that vibe of like, you know, like in Beetlejuice, it's like, well, we're dead. We got to make the most of it kind of thing, you know, or somebody's head will get chopped off or something, you know, and that's funny. And I guess that's kind of my sense of humor, you know, is
I have a question about that because I think I mentioned this before as a theme, I guess, for stop motion is always like creepy funny. And is that you think that's a thing that's deep in the movie, or do you think that's something that's deep in the style that they chose?
No, because I give you Aardman. You know, Wallace and Gromit, Creature Comforts.
True, but they're like the exception.
Yeah.
I think a lot of stop motion is kind of naturally creepy just because you're seeing like inanimate dolls come to life. Like, I mean, not all stop motion, of course, but some of it can get really creepy. Like, if you ever seen any Brothers Quay, that stuff is weird, surrealist, creepy. I love it.
Well, this is creepy as in, and this isn't really a spoiler, but this is creepy as in one of the characters is a snake that's been run over and it has like the tire tracks through it. So it's like creepy funny, you know, it's like a dead snake, but he's a character and you
That
still
sounds
see.
That's
very,
nothing like
very
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah, there's.
No, that sounds just like Beetlejuice.
I conceded and I said that I can see the similarities.
Yeah, there's
Go back to
a
tape.
couple characters in it that kind of remind me of the Beetlejuice waiting room scene.
Yeah, it does have
along
that
those
vibe.
lines. Yeah.
But New Bread, I like what you're saying about the idea of there is a dead, lifeless thing lying on a table, and you're putting a spirit into it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's like it's very easy to draw a connection. I could see a lot of stop motion animators trying to think of ideas and stories to tell, and that's a very easy place to jump into.
Mm-hmm.
Quirky creepy. That's what I'd call it.
Okay.
Quirky creepy.
Quirky.
I think that's a good way to describe a lot of Henry Selick stuff, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quirky, creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, Coraline, it's one of my favorite movies, but that's creepy for a kid's movie. Sewing buttons in your eyes and...
Totally.
Yeah.
That was even creepy. I was an adult and watched that, and I was like, "This is creepy."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very true. I really dug it. I like it. Yeah.
And then, from what I remember, I feel like Monkeybone is geared towards an older audience.
Yes.
There's some dirty humor in it, some dark themes from what I remember. I think I might be making this up, but I think Stephen King actually makes an appearance as himself.
What?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot. How
He's writing himself
appropriate.
into other people's stories now?
Something like that.
Yeah, that's right. And there's a specific thing that I remember being super that is like adult creepy but funny. That is so my humor, but I'll wait till after we watch it. And I wonder if when you guys see it, if you'll be like, yeah, Ash would do that in a video for sure.
I do remember, I think pretty well, what Chris Kattan's role is in it, and I love that part. I love his character.
Yes.
If I'm remembering right, it's been a long time since I've seen the movie.
Yeah,
but,
I don't want to say anything either because I think I remember.
I
So
have fond memories of
Bret,
that scene.
Owl Bret,
Yes.
did you were bringing this movie to the table, right? You
I think
chose this.
I may have been the deciding vote. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the idea is that we presented a bunch of stop motion animation movies we were interested in, and you ultimately chose this one. Mm-hmm. So I think that will be interesting to get your prediction as well as why is this the one you wanted?
Mm-hmm. I think this one was maybe from the list was the one I'd seen the longest time ago. Like it'd been the longest time since I'd seen this one. Do you remember when this came out or what year?
2001.
Okay. Yeah.
Monkey Odyssey.
I might have seen it one time since then, but I just remember seeing it when it came out. So I was like 2001, I was 11.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're a baby.
I'm a little.
I think he's your age.
Oh.
How old were you in 2001?
I guess I was like 13, maybe 12, 13.
Oh, you were so much older than me. Such a difference.
I know.
I like that, picking out, because this show is all about, do we remember things well? And I like that you picked the one you've seen the longest time ago, the longest separation from it.
I'm also excited to see it as an adult and, see how much of it might have gone over my head when I was younger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have an expectation? Do you think you're still going to like it? Or did you like it to begin with?
I always remember liking it. Not that it was ever my favorite movie ever, but I remember enjoying it. I'm
That's
pretty
the threshold you should expect, everybody. It's enjoyable.
It's enjoyable. It's dark. The name of it's Monkeybone, which I think, if I remember right, is a masturbation joke in it. So it gets odd.
And so what are you expecting today?
I'm expecting I'll probably feel about the same. Like, yeah, that was good. Not my favorite Henry Selick, but still enjoyable. But we'll see. We'll see if it holds up.
I wonder if the animation will hold up to your standards.
Ooh,
It's
yeah.
Henry, so probably.
I would assume so.
I'm interested in how it mixes with live action, because we saw a lot of the staging and the performance and what it takes to shoot live action to match with animation when we talked about Roger Rabbit. And how does that translate here? I'm curious to see how well that works.
I think if I remember correctly, there's a lot of set and character design that really you can tell is Henry Selick's like style influence kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right. So did anybody look to see where this thing is available? Ash has the DVD.
Oh gosh,
have the
you have a DVD? Can we get it?
I have the DVD, and I'm looking at the title right now, which apparently is just the Pokemon font that they just stole and wrote Monkeybone in.
Wow.
Monkeybone.
Yeah, I'm sure it's on iTunes and Google Play at least. So we're gonna pause the recording. We're gonna watch Monkeybone. So at this point, you might want to check out the movie and join us when you're done. She's a brick.
House.
House.
She mate.
Letting it all hang out. Nothing says romantic like
Brick
being
House.
proposed to with Brick House.
So I think we need to address the elephant in the room.
I think we do too.
This movie takes a lot from Beetlejuice
yeah.
and Encino Man. A lot, you guys.
Can we talk about the fact that Brendan Fraser is a human ape? Like, he just is.
Can we talk about the fact that Bryce walked in the house halfway through the movie and said, "Oh, you watching Beetlejuice?"
Bryce, I'm disappointed in you.
I'm so correct about my expectations of this movie.
I owe you an apology, and I fully admit that you are right in your.
Before you go too deep in that apology, this movie is kind of awesome.
Really?
Yes! Yes!
It was the most uneven thing I've ever seen.
Yes.
When
Yes.
this movie's
That's a
bad,
good way to put
is
it.
Garbage.
Yeah.
But there is some.
But the second
genius
Chris
in this
Kattan
movie.
gets into this movie, oh my god,
Chris Kattan with Bob Odenkirk chasing
so
him,
good.
and the
Yeah.
some of the stop motion animation was amazing.
Yeah.
So, like some of those weird costumes fell flat.
I-
like the big rubber heads.
I'm
No thank you.
surprised. I wonder if you, Bret, remember more stop motion, because I remember there being more. Like, I remember all the characters in that land being stop motion, and clearly I was remembering incorrectly.
No, I think I remembered about right. Just a couple characters stop motion, but I think I know it's a lot of the character design that still
Yeah.
strikes me as very Henry Selick and
Yes.
very weird and surreal in that way.
Yeah, I think it's very cool design. Some of it was very badly executed. There's like this pig character with the shocked look on his face. And if we had seen that,
and the eyes
for-
popping out.
Yeah. If we had seen that for like 4 frames, it would have been great. But as it lingered on the screen, your brain quickly realized that ain't moving.
Right.
Like that is a faux
mask
rubber
isn't
cast
moving.
that does not move at all.
Right. Yeah.
So that some of that stuff kind of fell flat.
It looked like they didn't have the biggest budget,
Right.
and they spent the budget on that ridiculous air balloon fight at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought his like nightmare looked pretty good.
Yeah, that
It
was
would-
cool.
Yeah. Really
The great
creepy.
pencil sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, but I mean, I kind of like they set that up at the beginning of the movie as like, oh, even that drawing looks like somebody tried.
And Ash, I didn't mean to shut you down because you're making this point of he is like a living chimpanzee.
He is. He just is.
And sometimes it was really, really good.
When he was like swinging from the bedpost.
So let's talk about one of the worst, because we've seen The Substitute. Let's talk about one of the worst sex scenes I've ever seen. Now, what is happening when she opens her robe, wraps her robe around
Yes!
him, and then they just kind of wiggle around?
I don't know. I don't
What
know.
is that creepiness?
This movie felt like it was written by like a 13-year-old boy, didn't
Yeah.
it? It just
I'm amazed at the strength of that bedpost
yes.
to hold
I
up all
was-
of him swinging and hanging and
Right. So immediately after that creepy robe thing, it's Brendan Fraser swinging around the bedpost, and he really is moving like a chimpanzee. Like he's studied it.
He's. All I could think of was like, I wonder, was George of the Jungle before or after this? Because
Pretty sure it's after.
it's like, oh, I can see the makings of George of the Jungle here. Like I
Okay.
can
I
see.
think it was before,
Was
I
it
would
before?
I would guess before.
but I
Yeah,
don't know.
I'm truly not sure.
Fact check.
But you could just tell he's having so much fucking fun in those scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you
And
can
it's
just
kind of
see
his
it.
jam.
Yeah, on his face, it's just like pure bliss.
Like I bet that's what it's really like to have sex with Brendan Fraser.
And so here's what you have to do. in
No
this scene.
sex, just awkward monkey dancing.
And this is what I was trying to do, because you have to do this in the scene. You've got to take it for granted this movie is like PG or PG-13. So during the sex scene, they're all wearing clothes. But if this were really going down, he would have been naked swinging around those bedposts, climbing up and like hanging his ass over her head and everything, like climbing up on top and then falling down.
Yeah.
Like you have to imagine that in that scene.
Hey, baby, phrasing.
Yeah. Yeah, you can call that phrasing. But that kind of defines this movie. Yes, true. That was horrible.
But
But
fun.
it was really funny though.
Yeah.
It was still kind of fun.
I felt like the first half of the movie, I was like, wow, I guess this wasn't as funny as I remembered. But then the second half, like just this idea of these doctors chasing a corpse to get his organs and his organs like flying out of him, like that is something I would write for sure. That is the thing.
I mean, it kind of became
totally.
a Mr. Show sketch.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just Bob Odenkirk chasing
It's just
a dead
hilarious
gymnast around.
sketch.
Yeah.
I really liked when Chris Kattan first woke up and had the bone saw and was swinging it around.
Swing it around. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got it's a bone saw. Yeah.
My favorite is when Bob Odenkirk leans out the window and he says, "Come back. We don't want to hurt you. We just want your organs."
I love how they don't even question that a dead man came back to life. They just really want
Just
the
chase
organs.
it. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that the first time they don't question it, but the second time they're all fucking terrified.
Yeah.
That's when it's too weird for him.
Yeah.
Just the acting and the way Chris Kattan moved as the
So
dead
good.
gymnast, so funny. Like no words are being said, and I just want to watch him run around like a goob the whole time.
Yeah,
Like,
you guys were so right about Chris Kattan.
Oh,
He
he's
was so
amazing.
good.
It's a shame that it was only like a few minutes.
Yeah, I remembered much more of him. For some reason, I thought I had a memory of him being the monkey in the body, but I was totally wrong.
Well, what he did was awesome.
Like, you really thought that his neck was broken.
Yeah.
I don't know how he did it, but.
You guys were right. George of the Jungle was 97. It was way before this.
Oh, so that's where he got all the moves. He had practiced. and-
Encino Man, George of the Jungle, then
He's
this.
been practicing for this role his
Yeah.
whole life, guys. Watch
There
out,
were a
Andy
lot of-
Serkis.
Right.
Sorry.
Oh man. There were a lot of faces in this that I recognized but couldn't quite figure out where they were from.
Nick called one in the beginning. The broken lizard dude.
Yeah, I need to figure this out because I think it was Steve Lemmy, I think his name is, one of the Broken Lizard guys, the Super Trooper guys, was like a security guard when the car crashed. I need to find that.
Can we talk about how awful that security guard was at the end?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm detaining someone. Oh, look, a puppy. Like, what
So-
the
Yeah,
hell?
Brett said the same thing.
Yeah, he's like, I'm kind of slowly walking this guy out who just broke in. Or like when Chris Kattan first came in, he did all the flips and the guards were looking at him and he flipped past them and the guards go right to the doctors like, no, you guys can't come in.
Yeah.
Don't have a
Never
pass.
mind what just happened right above us. You guys, you're not on the list.
So here's some perspective on that. I used to be a museum security guard.
Did you let corpses come through if they did flips?
No, but I would totally stop and say hi to puppies before I did my actual job. Like that
Oh.
is just 100%
So this was
accurate.
you.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
you were the shitty security guard.
Yeah,
also like-
especially like in the middle of kicking someone out. Like, this is the worst part of my day is actually having to do something. Oh, look, a puppy.
Hey, come here, buddy.
So that's what
I
grounded
also
the
like
movie
how.
really.
Yeah, I also like how like he's pulling this guy away who's an intruder, and she just comes up and she's like, "I need to speak to this man." And he's like, "Okay," like no argument whatsoever. He's just like, "All right."
Yeah, I mean, he's just not that attached to anything that's going on. In fact,
Not.
that was the least weird part of that scene as far as the background people go, because obviously the main actors were freaking out in that, but like the giant piñata with the toys and these people who are donating, presumably thousands of dollars, and then they break the thing open and toys fall out, and the entire crowd rushes the pile of toys. And that was like the thing we were supposed to overlook while they were doing their chase scene. And I was just like, what are all these rich people doing, like fighting over toys?
Well, clearly you've never waited in line at Comic-Con for something that everybody wants. There's like a switch that gets flipped in people's heads and like, I have to have that thing.
That's true.
And then this crowd thing takes over.
Maybe it's like the Elmo doll.
Did they ever like collect the dolls that came out, or did people just come home with those and have nightmares? And that's just not really spoken about after the movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. They kind of built it up as like this ultimate danger. But I guess the worst thing is they go home and they rip off their clothes like Dave Foley. It's not like people are going to be dying.
Like, didn't the bad guys succeed in this movie, really?
It kind of did.
I guess so. Good eye. Bret, too.
So
The sequel.
I wasn't able to confirm that was the Broken Lizard guy, but you remember in that awkward dance party scene?
Yes.
There was a giant white Yeti
Yes.
awkwardly dancing. Doug Jones.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. His like least favorite role, probably.
Yeah. Because they
So who
needed
was-
like awesome like physical movement guy for that awkward dance scene.
I saw his name on the list. I was wondering which creature he would be, but I still couldn't place the other guy from Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah.
Plays Gus.
Oh, no. Oh, get this. He was Hypno.
Okay.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, I thought maybe, but it's just so
couldn't
different
see
than
it.
Gus.
Yeah. I couldn't see it until Ash was like, yeah, it's definitely him. And then I was like, yeah, it is him.
Yeah. A much younger him.
Yeah.
I only picked up on it because his voice. I recognized his voice. But we watched the special features, and the special features has this. I'm going to text it to Sam. But the special features had all this behind the scenes, like how they did the puppeteering and how they did the stop motion and all that
How
stuff.
they mixed stop motion with live action.
Yeah.
With
Cool.
some crazy blue and green screen stuff.
But the best part was seeing the Gus guy wearing a half Green Man suit, kneeling on the bed. And I just sent you the picture. It's pretty amazing. I'll make sure to tweet it. But he then walks around like that, and it's hilarious.
I really liked his stubby little legs. Like that was,
Yeah.
I don't know, when you see that, it's a little unsettling and like weird, nightmarish, creepy.
And can't possibly support the weight.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just some little things like that, like some of the character designs, the weird, creepy bee that was with him, and some of those like...
Yeah, but the bee was another case of great design, horrible execution. Because it was just, it was completely unmoving, static face.
solid
Well,
head.
That was just the girl from Guardians of the
Guardians of the
Galaxy too, right?
That's what I said.
That was
It's
not
Mantis. That was 100% Mantis's sister.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a crazy picture.
It kills me what they did to Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Kills
Such
me
a
what
great
they
character.
did in
but
Guardians of the Galaxy
they didn't do her
2.
justice. You know, there was a lot of this movie where I'm like really fascinated and impressed by how they combined the stop motion with live action. Because it's not just like static shots. It's, you know, a stop motion character climbing around Brendan Fraser's shoulder or
Yeah.
grabbing a pants leg and he kicks it away. And some of these behind the scenes videos were amazing. There's like a blue screen with a blue creepy Brendan Fraser mannequin
Yeah.
that they had to animate the characters around. So
And
that
they
could
animated
comprise
the
them
mannequin
together.
too to match Brendan's movement.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. And then they also did red screen, which I've never seen before. But I don't know if you remember the gold character that brought him the invitation to Hypno's party.
Oh, yeah.
I also
did-
thought that was a Guardians of the Galaxy 2 character.
Oh, yeah. But they did that on red screen, which I'm guessing, I don't know, maybe you guys could answer, like, is gold tough to do on blue screen maybe? And so they had to do red?
Huh. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, usually it just depends on like getting a high contrast color behind it. Like if they're using a green thing, that's why they'll use a blue screen a lot of times, or maybe blue or green just didn't work with gold, so they had to go red, which would be like a lot farther from it, a lot higher contrast.
It could have to do
wonder
with the
if-
reflections too. Mm-hmm. If the reflections were picking up green or gold or blue, then they'd have to go with a different color.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask. I was wondering if something is reflective, does a red screen work better? Because the two cases
maybe it
of red
matched.
screen were metallic objects.
Yeah, it might have matched the lighting better with the reflections. Like,
I want to talk about how Bridget Fonda has not done anything after like Jackie Brown. Like she stopped cold. And I really want to know what's going on with that.
Who was she in this again? The girlfriend, Julie?
Yeah,
Oh.
Doc. The last thing she did was in 2002. Like she just up and stopped working, and she's
Is
fantastic.
she dead?
I don't think she's dead.
Question mark?
That would be depressing. No,
Oh. I don't know.
she's okay. Everybody, she's okay.
She's okay.
Fonda's okay.
maybe she was just like, that's enough money. And then, like,
That happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess people start hating their jobs at some point, so maybe.
So there was something interesting I noticed. I wonder how Sam and Bret Squared feel about this. But I noticed when we watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit, we talked about how like the eye line, or maybe we didn't. Maybe it was this video I watched about it. But the eye line in the movie is what really made a difference in
That
those
characters are actually looking at each other in the eye.
Yeah, and like the live action characters are really looking at the animated characters in the eye. And something I noticed in this was I didn't necessarily always believe Brendan Fraser was looking at the monkey.
There was one shot in particular that really caught me like that, where it was Monkeybone was in front of him, and then Monkeybone like jumped up, like went up screen, and Brendan's eyes just kept going straight. It didn't go up with him.
yeah. Yeah,
Although-
was that the one that ended where he, like, face palmed?
I think so.
Yeah, and it's just like, I think the whole thing was just him trying to do anything that might seem believable without knowing what they were going to comp in around him.
Yeah. I think,
You know-
too, like, with the 2D stuff in Roger Rabbit, they were able to animate after the live action had been shot, which meant from the animation point, they were able to really match eye lines really, really well. And I don't see how they could have done that so easily at this time using stop motion. I don't think Dragon Frame was around.
Yeah.
So they were potentially still on film.
Well, now that you say that jogs my memory. I'm thinking of this from, and I did post it to the Let's Rewatch Twitter. There's a guy who has a YouTube channel, Captain Christian, and he did a video on Roger Rabbit.
He
And
does some
in
good
his-
videos.
Yeah, he does great videos, and he talked extensively how they actually did a lot of work in the shooting side of the live action to make sure that the eye line was accurate, and that there's one scene in the movie where the eye line was off, and what they did was they made Roger Rabbit press against a wall and stretch himself out so that way his eye line would match and then went down, so they're able to compensate for it. But they clearly kept the eye line around 3 feet tall, which is how tall Roger Rabbit is, which is kind of crazy. They like went in with that expectation. So I would assume they went in with some sort of like, here's the eye line, but it
Well,
just
there was
wasn't.
one shot
perfect.
in these behind the scenes we were looking at where they had Monkeybone as a puppet on
Yes.
set, but it was all green.
With the green man in the suit
Yeah.
puppeteering him. I sent you that picture too.
So it was a green screen Monkeybone, and it might have even been the shot that you're talking about, because in the movie, I think Monkeybone jumps straight up in the air, but they can't do that with that little green screen puppet. So they just kind of had to have a moment where Brendan like looks up, trying to follow something.
Yeah. I think, too, like, Richard Williams has just, like, an obscene attention to detail. Not that Henry doesn't, but I think his is more on, like, the technique and the smoothness and, like, pushing the stop motion to be less jittery as opposed to, like, what I would kind of consider classic 2D like continuity things. That makes sense.
Yeah, and that's where I was feeling this movie was so uneven, because sometimes they just crush it and knock it out of the park, and it's amazing how good it is. And then other times it just looks like they just gave up and weren't interested in making it look good.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure schedule and budget had something to do with that, because you start with your like A scenes, and you get them really perfect, and you can't do that for every scene.
Yeah, and depending on how big the production was, your best animator isn't doing every scene.
Yeah. And if it was actually on film, then you can't be like redoing every scene,
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like the Monkeybone animation was very impressive, and always seemed like the way he moved.
Yeah.
Seemed very,
Yeah, that character seemed really solid.
Yeah, I liked the animation on like the piano sequence. It's just
Yeah.
like, man, that's really smooth.
yeah.
So, pop quiz, voice of Monkeybone is...
John Turturro.
That is amazing.
Wow, you're right.
I might have looked at the cast list earlier. I was trying to figure out who Whoopi Goldberg's sidekick was.
Oh, who was that?
He was...
I still don't know.
I can't remember his name, but he was Lowell on Wings, and he was Sandman in Spider-Man 3.
Never
Oh, that guy. I don't know his name, but that guy.
That's weird, because I don't see him on the list in IMDb. Unless
I was a big fan of
Whoopi.
Whoopi Goldberg's scenes. I liked her. I liked her dog.
The luchador.
Yeah.
Pug.
Yeah, luchador peg.
I liked the replacement heads part.
Oh, yeah.
I laughed at that. That was great.
That was
I love when he
your
drops
past.
it.
Yeah.
That was shades of Return to Oz.
I just wish that they had like fleshed her character out a little bit more, like given her more to do than just like sit behind a desk. I think she could have been scarier, which would have been like, it would have been fun to build her up as really scary and then reveal like, oh, it's Whoopi Goldberg,
Yeah. Although, gosh, in the hands of the writers of this movie, this might be the best that could have been.
That's true. Yeah.
I did like her very like office manner of running the underworld. Come here. Can you explain what is this green on you?
Yeah.
I work
that's pretty
hard
good.
all day.
Yeah, Thomas
running
Hayden
death
Church.
like a business.
Is Thomas Hayden Church as that little henchman guy. I'm quite confident, even though for some reason he's not listed. But I'm going to still go out on a limb and say it was him.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Death's assistant uncredited. I don't know why he would be uncredited.
He's like, he saw the cut of this film and he's like, oh,
Nope.
no. Oh, no.
I think this is quite possibly a movie that got better with age.
Maybe.
Well,
I think like
if you mean that after about an hour and 15 minutes, it got better.
Then yes.
I mean, like, I think at the time that this came out, it was referencing Beetlejuice, which I believe Beetlejuice was
it?
like
Was
late
it really?
80s, was late 80s, right?
It
would have
super
felt
was.
it would have felt really old then.
Like, down to that fucking song choice in
Yeah.
that one scene. What was that, like what style of music is that where it's like the
Calypso?
yeah, calypso. They even had a calypso song.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, at the time that this came out, that would have felt like, I don't know, not quite old enough to be nostalgic, just like dated feeling. So I think now that we're, more than 10 years out from the release of this movie, it still feels very nostalgic to us. And I think we're more appreciative of the look of it all.
Man,
I can't-
I'm looking...
Oh, go ahead.
I'm looking at Beetlejuice on IMDb and really, really, really want to watch it.
Can we do that for Halloween? Can that be
Would
our
it be too
Halloween?
repetitive?
Well,
Nope.
we can compare and contrast.
Man, there's a lot to talk about on this one.
You know, even the joke you just said, Brett, that they're like running death as a business, like that's definitely a Beetlejuice joke too.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. I feel like when I first saw this film, I didn't make all those Beetlejuice connections, but I totally see them now, for sure.
I just realized something.
What?
Indiana Jones plus Brendan Fraser equals Mummy.
Oh.
Beetlejuice plus Brendan Fraser equals Monkeybone.
Phrase a movie. Hashtag phrase a movie.
Movie phrasing.
Movie phrasing. Can we start our own podcast dedicated to Brendan Fraser movies?
Wow. Tarzan plus Brendan Fraser is George of the Jungle.
And then that's the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
What?
No, you're forgetting the Canadian Mountie one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Dudley Do Right.
Yes, yeah.
What do you add to Brendan Fraser to get Crash? Did you ever see that one?
He's in Crash?
He was in Crash. Yeah.
Oh,
Really?
no, I've never seen Crash.
And then what do you add him to get Scrubs?
Yeah.
Cancer.
ER. No, it's ER. ER plus Brendan Fraser is Scrubs.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
Accurate.
it's kind of true.
So tweet at us your movie plus Brendan Fraser equals.
Maybe Lone Ranger plus Brendan Fraser is Dudley Do Right?
Wasn't Lone Ranger American though? I guess.
Yeah, but the Fraser element does
Right.
crazy shit.
I think it's what's that Canadian donut shop plus Brendan Fraser equals
Tim
Hortons.
Tim Hortons. There we go.
I can't really think of any like references they made in the movie that don't still work today. Like I was thinking of the South Park reference towards the end.
Oh yeah.
That still works. Stephen King showing up is still a very prominent author.
That Stephen King cameo was pretty great.
I liked him and Edgar Allan Poe.
Shut up, Poe.
Yeah.
Although they took a pretty huge leap. Like I was on board with this idea of these are people who fell into a coma, but then an evil force was sent back and took over their body.
Uh-huh.
So now the Stephen King we know is just an evil force having taken over Stephen King's body.
Uh-huh.
But I was not happy when they clarified that the evil force was Cujo. So am I left to believe that Cujo has been writing books for 30 years?
The dog, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind
The
of
dog's a
stretch.
very successful author.
Yeah. You know, he's plotting out story structure. He's figuring out character arcs.
He's making movie deals.
Hey,
wait,
if it's better than it, then I think he's doing a good job.
Wow.
When did Stephen King go into a coma? Well, it's not 30 years.
I mean,
Wait, did he really
I
go
have
into
very
a
fuzzy
coma?
memory. I think he got hit by a car at one point, and I don't know if there was a coma involved.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know he got hit by a car, but I don't know if he actually did go into a coma or not.
No.
Apparently, I guess he said he got hit by the car, and some fans were really worried that he wasn't going to finish the Dark Tower series.
Oh,
And
God.
that just annoyed him. That's the thing they were worried the most about after he got hit by a car was his damn books.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, that means you're successful.
It's true. Yeah.
Don't
Like,
die,
they
leave
don't-
me hanging.
Yeah, they don't know him personally.
Well, no offense to Steven,
don't
but
know
he
me.
certainly isn't the sexiest looking guy. So
Wow.
You're all full of the judgment tonight. Jeez.
Did you ever see him in Creepshow?
no.
Yeah, he's a weird looking guy.
Yeah.
That was a good weird movie. He's a farmer where a meteor lands in his backyard, and he touches it, and then like slowly through the short part, because it's like the movie's all these different segments. So slowly through his segment, he gets taken over by this like green moss, like alien moss, and I think his only line in it, because just him by himself in his farm, I'm pretty sure his only line was "Oh, meteor shit" when he touches it. He said just like that.
Wow.
I mean,
fantastic.
who thinks, okay, we need to cast Stephen King?
Yeah.
Like in Monkeybone, it makes sense because they're trying to think of people who've given people nightmares. But like if you're making a horror short, I don't think Stephen King is your actor.
Well, I guess that one was that movie was basically made by both Stephen King and George Romero. So as them doing like a project
This all
together.
adds up now.
Now I really want Stephen King to be like the Stan Lee of horror films, where he's just like in one shot of every horror film.
I'm surprised they haven't started it already.
Yeah.
2 Stephen King movies this year and a TV series coming out. Mm-hmm. I could see them sticking
Maybe
him all
he
over
is in
there.
them. I don't know. Maybe he plays the clown. No, I'm just kidding. It's not.
No. We already know that's not true.
So, should we just jump to how we feel? Because I don't know. Does anyone have anything else to talk about?
Yeah, all right. I'll say that I came out of this with a much better feeling than I expected. I was dreading it a little bit. It's not a great movie, but it is a mediocre to bad movie with some really good parts. So I'm okay with it. I'm not going to rush into watching it again, but I'm okay with it. Now, Sam, you also had not seen it before this.
Yeah, and my director set up my expectations real low, guys. Real low. I enjoyed the crap out of this movie.
Yay!
It was so much fun, and I don't know why I loved it so much, because it was not good, and I was fully aware.
No. Yeah.
But I just couldn't stop watching it. Like, I wasn't, like, checking my phone during it. I wasn't wondering when it would be over. I just loved watching the people in this movie. Like, they all were just so funny to watch.
I wonder if you had this experience. There have been times in my life when I just really hate a situation, but after a while, if I learn to kind of let go and forget about the things that are making me angry and just kind of accept it and look at it a different way, things get a lot better. And it seemed like this movie, once I let myself kind of click into, oh, that's how dumb this movie is. And I stopped trying to respect the movie. You know, I stopped trying to find good things about the movie. It actually became a lot more fun.
Yeah.
I think that was where my expectations were going into it, so I enjoyed it kind of out of the gate.
Okay.
Because, like, I kind of expected it to be, like, a real bad, like, sex punny, like, Saturday Night Live sketch drawn out.
Uh-huh. And then it was.
It was, but I enjoyed
Thank you, Nick.
it. I think it was more, but
Okay.
yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
It wasn't much more, but it was a little bit.
Yeah,
bit more.
yeah.
All right. So, OG Bret, what are your thoughts?
I think this movie was 2 different creatures packed into one thing, and it's totally what you're saying, but more of a every second closer to the plot they got, the worse the movie got. And
It's so true, because the first half of the movie is so heavy on the plot.
yeah, and like for being, you know, like the reason we watched it was animation and the weird whimsical elements of it. Downtown was the worst part of the movie.
Agreed.
And then we get away from that, and like, you know, if you ignore the reasons why they're there, Whoopi in the death office was great, and Chris Kattan running around as a corpse is fantastic, and like all of that stuff doesn't really have anything to do with the movie, and there's not really a lot of dialogue, and it's just funny people being funny, and they really knocked it out of the park with that. Because they let them do their thing.
I came for the stop motion animation. I stayed for the physical comedy.
Yes.
Totally.
Yeah, and it's weird because I prefaced my viewing of this as it's the antithesis of a Bret movie, because I usually don't like slapstick stuff, but that was significantly the best part of this movie.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. It being that part of the movie and not the whole movie. Yeah, I just want to see that little 15-minute stretch of Chris Kattan be an hour and a half, and then I'll be happy. But yeah, I don't think I'll ever watch this again.
More mango, please.
I mean, if this came on TV, I probably wouldn't change it.
Wow. Awesome.
What a raving review.
I want to see that on Rotten Tomatoes.
I know.
You ever look at a Rotten Tomatoes review and you wonder, all right, somebody decided this is either a fresh or a rotten review. Like, the people who write reviews don't say, blah, 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 my verdict, rotten. Somebody reads the review.
You don't think so?
Well, no, because they aggregate reviews from everywhere.
But there's user-generated ones.
Right. But if they take we're getting off my point here, but if they take the review from New
No,
York
let's discuss
Times,
in detail.
the
how
review
Rotten
from New York
Tomatoes
Times doesn't end with rotten or fresh.
Gotcha.
Anyway, my point is, if somebody were to hear what Sam just said, they would have a real hard time deciding, wait a minute, so is Sam saying this is good or bad?
Yeah,
Is that a rotten review or fresh?
I do say that it's probably more deserving of like a higher rating than 20%, which is what it says it has on Rotten Tomatoes.
That was like the review for my favorite breakfast place, the Yelp review that got us to eat there, which was bland in all the right places.
I can't tell you how many times I quote that, where
It's so
Bryce
good.
and I will be somewhere and I'll be like, you know what? This is bland in all the right places.
So, Ash, you were this movie's agent.
Well, Bret was as well. But yes, I will say I have been wanting to watch this movie for a while.
And so now you have.
Not editing.
And that's all she wants to say on it.
I'm going to be honest. It didn't live up to my expectations, like my memories.
Wow.
Now, I'm not saying I didn't enjoy myself. I did. But I remembered, like, our boy Fraser, like, I remembered him being more on the level he was in The Mummy, and he was not that here. I don't think.
Okay.
You know, I felt like the first half of the movie, he was pretty flat and boring. And then...
Yes, he was.
Yeah, and then it sort of kicked into gear. And I also, you know, I remember loving the world that Henry Selick had created in downtown. And I have to agree that this time it fell a little flat to me. I think because I had a memory of it all being stop motion and it just wasn't. And I think also I was like in love with Nightmare Before Christmas, and I think, you know, this was like the next thing for me to watch because it was another Henry Selick movie. So I think at the time I really loved it because I liked that look and feel. But yeah, I have to agree with what you and Bret said, where it felt very uneven, but the second half of the movie is pure comedic gold. Like it's just so funny. These doctors chasing Chris Kattan. He's losing livers and organs. It's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I love how all the organs he loses are roughly football shaped.
Yeah, they all look
objects.
the same.
Yeah.
Like he's losing the same organ over and over again. But yeah, it's like so great.
The duct taping scene when he's like duct taping his head to the T-square.
Yes.
Like, so funny.
And I think physical comedy is like one of my personal favorite forms of comedy because I'm a huge like Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin fan. So Chris Kattan is just like the master of it. He's just so good.
Indeed. All right, Bret 3000. What did you think of this?
I'd say I'm about on the same level. I think I remember it a little bit better than what I thought of seeing it this time. I still enjoyed it. And yeah, everyone's hit a nail on the head saying how uneven it is. Chris Kattan parts, definitely the best. I loved him twirling around on the rope, going in for the kick. Yeah, and throwing his guts at Brendan Fraser. And I mean, I thought he did a great job as a Brendan Fraser too. Like he turned into Brendan Fraser pretty well.
Speaking of which, did they dub his dialogue with Brendan Fraser's voice?
No.
No? Okay.
I don't think so.
No.
Okay.
Oh, and then there was the sister that was just kind of there in the beginning,
Megan
and just kind of
Mullally.
tried to kill
yeah.
her brother, and then just left. And
Yeah, we're moving on from that.
she wasn't there. She's not a great character, not a nice one, not really fleshed out, but
But it's still just kind of funny. Like, she just wants her brother dead, and that's all she cares about.
She
we had
was
a pact.
just playing Megan Mullally.
Yeah.
Like, that's just who that she is. Like, if you've ever seen Will and Grace, like, that's the character she is in that show. Yeah. It's amazing.
But yeah, overall, good.
Another glowing review.
Yeah,
He's
not
doing a
quite
little
as-
hand wave.
not quite as rosy as nostalgia goggles seem to remember it, but it was still entertaining. It was silly.
Yeah. Well, so Bret, you've got a Twitch channel that you're working on to share some of your stop motion work.
I was confused about which Bret you were addressing because you didn't give him a nickname this time.
Well, you know, the next step would be breast, and I just don't want to go that far.
What?
Wait,
Why?
take it back, please.
What?
Just take it back.
All right, I take it back.
Thank you.
Tell us about your Twitch channel.
Yeah, so at the moment, I'm in the process of setting up a Twitch channel, giving it a try to do some stop motion animation on Twitch, and basically film myself animating live, which will be interesting, I think.
Oh,
Never
so
tried
it's
that
not,
before.
You're not going to do the work, finish a product, and then broadcast a video. We're going to be able to see your work in progress.
Correct.
It's
yeah.
one of the cooler features of Twitch that it's less popular as far as like what they've been advertising, because you're like, Twitch, oh, it's games, but like they have a super cool art streaming section on it, and like Zach Harris does that too, one of our other guests, and like it seems like it's the new way to share your creative process online.
Because Twitch is just live streaming.
I'm sorry?
Twitch is just live streaming.
Yeah. I get it. I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah,
I was...
from my understanding, Twitch started and was primarily like video game streaming, where people stream themselves playing video games. And I don't know if it has, since the inception had this or it started going, but now they do creative streams where they have artists, some paint, some draw, some sculpt, some. And I've got some friends that do cosplay up in Portland and stream themselves making costumes. And it was one of my friends that suggested I give it a try, because there's barely any people doing stop motion animation through Twitch. And I feel like it's, I don't know, it would be one of the more interesting, at least in my opinion, one of the more interesting animations to watch happen. But I suppose we'll see. We'll see what people think.
Yeah, I would love to see it. I'm fascinated by the process of it. You know, I understand a very slow, methodical thing. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I'd like to see little chunks of time of what it takes to make something. I want to see this when this goes live.
So yeah, we'll throw the link for it in the description for the podcast. But what's the channel going to be?
So the channel name is Robot Owl Monster.
How can you all keep forgetting that? It's so great.
We just want to hear him say it again.
Robot Owl Monster.
Yeah, we got it in pre-roll. I think that's the first time we said it while we're recording.
No, he said it. Did he say it? Oh.
No, we're going to open the kimono here, but we talked a little bit about it before we started rolling.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no, the curtain is pulled back.
Yep.
We
Our
talk
detailed prep work.
outside of the podcast.
Every now and then.
Dun, dun, dun.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Bret. That was really fun talking to you about Monkeybone.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, if you like the show, this is part of the Laugh Stash TV network of content. It's this podcast and a YouTube channel with a drinking show, a cooking show, and all kinds of great video game parodies, and a lot more stuff.
Yes, so definitely check that out. By the time this podcast episode airs, we will have the latest Let's Drink Out, woot woot, which is Star Wars cocktails. And I have to say, it actually turned out to be one of the funniest ones yet. So definitely check that out.
Is
Rad.
a guest on that?
Tom Gray from Player Piano.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's actually, we slowly break Tom over the course of the whole episode. But
I remember a lot of head shaking.
yeah, it's great. But if you want to follow us, you can follow Laugh Stash on Twitter at Laugh Stash TV, or you can follow this podcast at Let's Rewatch. And we often do Twitter polls to see what movie you guys think we should watch, or we post fun pictures. Like I'll post the pictures from the behind the scenes. I took some stills. And we also post pictures from the movie we're watching. I posted this one of Brendan Fraser in the quicksand when it was black and white when he was dreaming. And nobody guessed it. I think it might have been too late when I posted it. But
Oh, too late in the evening?
yeah. But you can check us out there. And I just wanted to derail our normal program for a second. And I just wanted to tell you guys, I don't know if you, the listener, actually reads Bret's descriptions, but my God, some of them are amazing and you should be reading them. And I would like to read one for you right now.
Oh, no.
Episode 47, Romancing the Stone. Oh God, what are you doing that? Why are you doing that with that stone? Put it down! Put it down! What do you mean you're not even holding it? It can't be just floating oh my God. No, stop it. I can't. I just can't. I'm leaving. I don't care what movie we're watching. What is it? Romancing the Stone? Jesus. Brilliant.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Poetry.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of me just up at 2 a.m. after I finish editing these and I'm uploading them, and I'm just gonna slam my fists against the keyboard and see what comes out.
Punch drunk Bret.
Anyway, if you're not reading them, you're really missing out. That's all I'm saying.
I honestly don't know if that's his best one.
Oh, it's probably not.
I went on a Jerry Maguire references
that one's
kick
my
for like
favorite.
4 episodes, where just every single thing was Jerry Maguire. I like that.
I really liked the alien one as well, where you talked about making an omelet with an alien egg.
Yeah.
Yep. So, if you liked our podcast and Bret's descriptions of the podcast, please give us a glowing, wonderful, beautiful, super positive review on iTunes or Google Play Music.
Yeah, we're like one good review away from having like actually 5 stars on iTunes, and then that would be rad. So
I would be
do it.
mad.
And of course, make sure your podcast feed is up to date and tell all your friends. We'll be doing this again in another 2 weeks.
Yeah, next time we're gonna watch Leprechaun: Back to the Hood.
Ooh, a classic. Is it the number 2, or is it spelled out?
Number 2.
Okay. Good.